Alex Eala is heading to New York as one of the most talked about young players in professional tennis. She is coming off a breakthrough season, a major rise in the rankings, and a wave of support that has turned her into one of the most marketable players in the sport. But now comes the most important question before the US Open begins. Will Alex Eala receive an easy path through the draw, or could her tournament become a tennis nightmare from the very first round? The official US Open singles draw has not yet been revealed, but the anticipation is already building. Alex has arrived in New York, started training at Arthur Ashe Stadium, and is preparing for what could become the biggest tournament of her career. Sports.Inquirer, https://sports.inquirer.net/691536/ Alex Eala begins US Open training at Arthur Ashe Stadium. This time, she is not entering the tournament as an unknown underdog. She is entering as a player expected to make noise. And that creates a completely different kind of pressure. Alex Eala's rise has been one of the most fascinating stories in tennis. She represents the Philippines, a country with a huge sports audience and a global Filipino community, but without a long history of Grand Slam success in women's tennis. That makes Alex's progress bigger than just one player's ranking. For Filipino fans, she represents possibility. For younger athletes, she represents proof that a player from the Philippines can compete on the biggest stages in the world. And for American tennis fans, Alex Eala has become a player worth watching because her matches come with an unusual combination of talent, emotion, and unpredictability. She can defend from deep behind the baseline. She can change direction quickly. She has the courage to attack against elite opponents. And perhaps most importantly, she does not appear intimidated by big names. That quality helped her defeat top-ranked opponents earlier this season. But the US Open will test whether she can repeat that level of tennis under even greater attention. Alex arrives in New York after a disappointing Cincinnati Open result. She faced American 9th seed Amanda Anisimova in the round of 32. Alex won the opening set 6-4, but Anisimova fought back and eventually won the match 4-6, 6-4, 6-2. Man at Work. https://www.gmnetwork.com/news/sports/other sports/998927/ Alex Eala bows to world number 10 Amanda Anisimova exits Cincinnati Open story. On paper, it was a defeat. But the match also showed why Alex is becoming dangerous. She was able to take control against a top 10 opponent. She played aggressively enough to win the first set. The problem was maintaining that level when the match became physically and mentally demanding. That is the challenge she must solve in New York. The US Open is not just about having a strong start. It is about surviving momentum swings. It is about staying calm when the crowd becomes loud. It is about managing long rallies, changing conditions, pressure points, and the expectations that come with being a seeded player. Alex has already shown that she can beat elite opponents. Now she has to prove that she can perform consistently across an entire Grand Slam tournament. The timing of the draw makes this story even more interesting. Because Alex Eala is expected to enter the US Open around world number 20, she should receive protection from facing another top seed in the opening round. Reports have described her as being on course to become the highest-seeded Filipino singles player in a major tournament. Manila Times. https://www.manilatimes.net/2026/08/19/sports/Eala set to become highest-seeded Filipino singles player at US Open at 2408060. That is the good news. But being seeded does not mean receiving an easy draw. There are always dangerous unseeded players. There are former champions trying to return to the top. There are powerful American players with home court support. There are qualifiers who may have already won several matches before reaching the main draw. And then there are young players with nothing to lose. For Alex, the ideal draw would be an opponent who allows her to settle into the tournament. A player without overwhelming power. A matchup where Alex can use her movement, consistency, and court awareness. The worst possible draw would be a powerful opponent who attacks early, takes time away from her, and forces her to defend from the opening game. That is the difference between an easy path and a tennis nightmare. Let's imagine the ideal scenario. Alex receives a first-round opponent outside the top 50. She starts confidently, protects her serve, and avoids a long physical battle. In the second round, she faces another manageable matchup. By that point, she has adjusted to the New York conditions, the stadium atmosphere, and the pressure of being one of the tournament's most discussed players. Then, in the third round, she finally faces a major star. That would give Alex time to build confidence before meeting one of the best players in the world. And confidence is extremely important for a young player. One clean win can change everything. A player begins to trust their forehand. They take the ball earlier. They step inside the baseline. They stop reacting to the opponent and start controlling the match. If Alex receives that kind of path, a run into the second week becomes a realistic possibility. And if she reaches the fourth round, the entire tennis world will begin treating her differently. She will no longer be described only as a rising star. She will be viewed as a genuine Grand Slam contender. Now let's imagine the nightmare scenario. Alex draws a dangerous unseeded player in the opening round. Someone with big weapons, a strong serve, and the ability to finish points quickly. That type of opponent can be extremely difficult because there is no time to gradually build momentum. Alex would be under pressure from the first few games. If she falls behind early, the crowd and the expectations could make the situation even more difficult. There is also the physical challenge. Alex is scheduled to compete in more than one event in New York, including mixed doubles with Alex Eala after the pair received a wildcard. Man at Work. https://www.gmnetwork.com/news/sports/othersports/9999086 Alex Eala get wildcard spot in US Open mixed doubles main draw a story. That creates more opportunity, but it also creates more demands on her body and schedule. Singles tennis requires recovery. Mixed doubles requires quick reactions, explosive movement, and constant communication. If the events overlap, Alex could be playing multiple matches in a short period of time. The question is whether that additional competition will give her confidence, or take away valuable energy from her singles campaign. The Arthur Ashe Stadium factor cannot be ignored. Alex has already started training inside the famous stadium, but training is very different from playing a high-pressure Grand Slam match in front of a massive crowd. Sports.Inquirer. https://sports.inquirer.net/691536/ Alex Eala begins US Open training at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Arthur Ashe is one of the biggest stages in tennis. The court feels enormous. The crowd can become part of the match. Every momentum shift is amplified. A normal service game can suddenly feel like a deciding set. For some players, that pressure creates fear. For others, it creates energy. Alex's fans may give her a major advantage. Filipino supporters have already shown that they can create a loud and emotional atmosphere around her matches. If thousands of fans are waving Philippine flags and cheering after every point, Alex could feel like she has an entire community behind her. But there is another side to that support. When fans expect a breakthrough, the player may feel the responsibility to deliver. The key will be whether Alex can treat the crowd as energy rather than pressure. There is also a larger story developing around her. Alex is not only preparing for the singles draw. She is becoming one of the faces of a rapidly growing Filipino tennis movement. Her matches attract attention online. Her interviews receive unusually high engagement. Her fanbase has helped create ticket demand at tournaments. And now, her appearance in New York is generating excitement before the US Open main draw has even begun. That means every match will be watched through two different lenses. The first is the tennis question. Can Alex win? The second is the cultural question. Can she create another historic moment for the Philippines? That combination makes her matches more compelling for a global audience. Even viewers who are not regular tennis fans may tune in because they want to see what happens next. And that is exactly how a player becomes a true sports star. So what should we expect from Alex Eala at the US Open? The safest prediction is that she has the ability to reach the third or fourth round if the draw is favorable and she manages her energy well. A more ambitious prediction is a second-week appearance. If Alex can serve consistently, protect her energy, and maintain her aggression during long matches, she has the tools to surprise another top player. But there are still questions. Can she avoid slow starts? Can she close out matches when she has the lead? Can she handle an opponent who attacks her forehand? Can she stay mentally composed when the match turns against her? And can she manage the extra demands of mixed doubles without affecting her singles performance? The draw will answer some of these questions. But Alex's response to pressure will answer the rest. My prediction before the draw is revealed is this. Alex Eala will receive a challenging but manageable opening round. She will have a realistic chance to reach the third round. And if she wins her first two matches, the momentum around her could become almost impossible to ignore. My early forecast is Alex Eala reaches the third round and has a serious chance of going further if she avoids an elite power hitter early in the tournament. But the real prediction will begin once the draw is official. Will she get a clear road to the second week? Will she face a former champion in the opening rounds? Will she be placed in the same section as one of the tournament favorites? Or will New York give her the kind of opportunity that could change her career forever? Alex Eala has already proven that she can create headlines. She has proven that she can attract a global audience. She has proven that she can compete with some of the biggest names in tennis. Now she has to prove that she can handle the pressure of being expected to succeed. The US Open draw is not just a list of names. For Alex Eala, it could be a map to history, or the first major obstacle standing between her and a Grand Slam breakthrough. So what do you think? Will Alex Eala receive an easy path at the US Open? Or is a tennis nightmare waiting for her in the first round? Leave your prediction in the comments. And subscribe for the complete draw breakdown, opponent analysis, match predictions, and round-by-round coverage of Alex Eala's US Open journey. Because in New York, the Eala effect enters its biggest stage yet.